Welcome back. I am so excited that you have joined me again in the Aligned Womb, Aligned You podcast. I'm Kate Nagai, and I am your host and womb guide on this journey. I'm here to help you to lean into the language of your menstrual cycle so that you can align yourself and awaken and activate to your womb wisdom to live the most inspired life. I am so excited to jump into this episode and to dive into today's topic. So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited to be here after a few weeks of being off and just really taking those last moments of the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So today, I'm excited to explore a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It is probably one of my passion projects, but it's one that got everything steamrolling forward in the life that I'm now living today. It all started from this point of me choosing or exploring how I could begin to reclaim my fertility, which you could also look at reclaiming your health. So today's topic, we're going to look at how can we reclaim our fertility and how we can start to feel empowered in our body and how we can start to create these practices that bring us into alignment with this desire to achieve pregnancy and to have a little baby in our arms in the next few months. Now, if you're listening to this and you're not on the fertility journey and you're not wanting to get pregnant, but you're still kind of curious about the topic, stay on. Listen to what I have to say because this still applies to our own health. You can replace the word fertility with PCOS, with endometriosis, with any condition that you might be battling right now, or just, general health and wellness. And a lot of the same principles that we're applying here to reclaiming our fertility, you can also apply to this idea of how to reclaim your vitality in your womb space or in your health as an overhaul measure. So let's dive in. So often when we get to this point where we feel like we have to reclaim our fertility, it's because we feel pretty damn broken. It's because we've either been on this journey for a really long time or we've just got that gut-punching news that told us that we are going to have a struggle on our hands. It's where all of a sudden we had this outlook or this desire or this dream, and somehow it's been squashed and it makes it feel like it's unattainable. Often this is done when we start to feel like this is not going to happen and we start to go into the deep dive of exploring our fertility and our fertile body with conventional medicine or Western health principles, we'll call them. And the reason why I say that is because we get to this point on our journey where we just feel like we can't achieve pregnancy. And we've been trying things and it's just not working. So we go in to an authority figure and we say, listen, I'm broken. It's not happening. I need you to tell me why. And I need you to fix me. But where there's a kind of a disconnect that happens in this journey is that, or at least what I've noticed with women's health, is that they can give us a good idea or a summary or a version of why this might be happening, but they don't provide any solution bases as to how we can begin to reclaim our health. Now, they will give us the tools of saying we can go to IVF or IUI. Like there's ways that we can manufacture or work with medicine to create a pregnancy, but they don't actually give us the tools of what is our next step to begin to heal the symptoms, to begin to heal what is out of balance. And that is what I want to explore today. I want to take you from this place where you've been feeling really broken, where maybe you've been given a lot of data or you've gone for a lot of test results and you've been told some things that just don't feel good and really just amplified that feeling of brokenness and not feeling like you have control on this journey. So today, we're going to look at this all differently. We want to look at what has already happened in your journey, the information that you've already received, as important because it's data. It's information that's sitting there that's saying, in this current moment, on today, whatever the day might be, this was the state of my body. I now know the state of my body. But part of reclaiming our fertility is now knowing or starting to identify with what I want my state to be. So we know the past, we know where we have been, but now we need to look into that future and go, what do I want? And probably you're saying, I want a baby. And that's true. But you also probably want a lot more than a baby. You probably want a baby, and you probably want, painless periods, and you probably want to feel less exhausted, and you want to feel like your periods are regulated, and you want to know that you're going to be healthy and vital and well as a mother. You want to know that you're going to have a healthy pregnancy. So in order for us to get to all those visions, we take that data and then we use new tools to infuse our body with where we want it to go. So the first thing that I always say when we're reclaiming our fertility is we really need to get curious about our body. Get curious about what's happening. So we have this data. We have all these blood work and test results and all this stuff that's said, I've looked through a microscope and I found this. But now what I want you to do is I want you to go inwards into your body and start to feel the embodiment of it. What do I feel like? What do I feel like when I'm in my follicular phase? What do I feel like when I'm ovulating? What do I feel like in that 2-week wait zone? What do I feel like when I'm on my period? Knowing how we're feeling, but also knowing how our physical body feels. Also noting what our energy levels are. And also noting how we're sleeping or our ability to deal with stressful situations. Is our nervous system able to come back into a regulated state, or does it always feel like it's on guard? This is all really important information because it gives you insight as to your day-to-day life and how well it is making you feel. So in your day-to-day living, is that amplifying or is that starting to impinge on your wellness and your vitality? And not that you will know what to do with it maybe, but at least it's data. It's a different set of data because it's going inwards and being curious with yourself. So the first thing is get curious about your body and what you're noticing and how you're feeling. This is also going to make you feel empowered because you kind of have an idea of what you're feeling. You kind of have an idea of what's going on in your body, which then leads into the second step. And the second step is to start to think about what kind of resources do I feel are doable and that I would want as part of my fertility support team. Know that conventional medicine, they don't have a lot of options when it comes to fertility. They have a few, but there's really not a lot out there to support us. But there is so many different resources in the alternative therapy world. And I think this is where, maybe historically, thousands of years ago, we lived more in this alternative approach of healing the body, of trusting the body could heal. And we relied less on the conventional medicine. And as time has passed and as, systems were created, we've put more emphasis on someone else fixing us. And we can still use those resources. Doctors are still very much necessary. Test results are very much necessary. But there's this whole other world out there that really gives us this source of empowerment by starting to approach the body in a different way. And it's approaching the body through looking at how can we create circulation? How can we remove stagnation? How can we calm the nervous system so that it feels more regulated? How can we create a space where your body's actually feeling like it can, flow, that it can go into dips and come back out, and that it can have this source of resourcing. That's the word I'm looking for, resourcing, that it knows that it doesn't always have to stay in a consistent state. And let's be honest, our modern world has put us in a consistent state of chronic stress, chronic exhaustion, which therefore plays into a really reduced level of vitality in the body. We really don't feel like we are energetically amplified. And that's what we want to do. So our second step is to look into what kind of resources would be good. And not everything's going to fit for everyone. I've worked with clients that absolutely love acupuncture. I love acupuncture. But then I've had other clients that are like, nope, was not for me. Did they get pregnant? Hell yeah, they got pregnant because they found other resources that felt more aligned with what they were needing in their body. So it's not just looking at what resources, because there are so many alternative therapies out there that you can do and so many different resources that you can use. And if we tried to do them all, we're just layering on more exhaustion for the body. What we really want to do is look at what really sparks our curiosity. What goes, that's making me want to take that first step through that unknown door and explore it. And then once you explore it, look at, is this doable for me? Maybe it's a financial thing. Financially, is this doable for me? Maybe it's a time commitment. This therapy or this approach requires this much time. That I feel like that's actually overextending me again. So feel into what feels aligned with what you want to explore, but then what is actually doable that's not going to put your system into that fight or flight response again in the body. We want to actually create things that make us want to keep coming back. And if you want to keep coming back, then you know that you've hit the jackpot of what it is that your body needs in this moment. And I want to just emphasize here that there is no right or wrong practitioner to see. Everyone's going to be very different. Every condition is going to be very different. Every body's going to resist or accept differently. So some bodies would be like, nope, that was not for me. And then there's other therapies that are going to be like, that is amazing. And I think that I've shared this. If I have not shared it on the podcast, I've definitely shared it in my coaching program. I was somebody who came from no experience in Eastern or alternative medicines. And I remember I went to go see an energetic healer and I had no idea what she did. To be honest, it was a Groupon where I got 3 sessions for like super cheap. So I was like, well, this is cheap. I'm going to try it out. What can it hurt? And I went in and it was so funny because I'd never had Reiki done before. And she was like, you can close your eyes. And I was like, no, I got to keep my eyes open. I got to see what's happening. And I got to try to dissect and understand what you're doing to my body. And it was really interesting because I didn't understand what she was doing. Like realistically, she barely touched my body. But I remember walking out of there feeling like I feel like a different person. Like I feel a little sleepy, but I also feel really excited and I feel playful. Like everything kind of shifted in that moment where I didn't feel bogged down anymore. And then the next session, I felt like I could trust her a bit more. So I closed my eyes and I allowed myself to get deeper into it. And she went deeper in what she was giving me. And, it was really a beautiful experience that now has led me to being a Reiki practitioner and a womb blessing attunement practitioner and a womb healer. And so, these things that maybe don't make sense to us in the beginning are the things that actually are our medicine and that really make a huge shift lifelong wise in our lifespan. So get curious and try something new and then ask yourself, does this feel like a good resource for me? And check in with your body. Does your body say yes, or does your body say, you know what? This is one of those maybes. And you can even make a 3-column, perhaps. You can make a column of the things that really do make you feel fertile and excited and healthy and vital, and you can feel the shifts. And then you can make a second column that are the things that I felt something, but, I could take it or leave it. And then you can have a third column, which is, that was just not for me, right? That was an experience that I'll never probably repeat. And we all have those, and that's great and has nothing against the practitioner. It's just that was not our medicine. And it's really important. And that's part of the getting into empowerment is knowing what our medicine is. And then the third, which I just kind of dipped a little bit into here, is knowing that if it feels good, then it is your medicine. If you feel like it's altering your state of being, if it feels like you feel differently or that you're a different person after leaving that session, then you know that that is your medicine. A lot of women always ask me, how do I know if the yoga practices are actually working? And I always say, it's working if you feel good when you leave and you can't wait for the next week, if you are sleeping better, and if every morning you wake up and you just feel like you could identify with your body a little bit more, good or bad. A lot of times when we do these yoga practices and we start to open up the channels and we start to move the muscles and we start to create some pliability in the body and remove some of that stagnation and increase the circulation, a lot of the times when we wake up, we'll be like, ugh, I feel a little icky. I feel a little stiff. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's that the good thing is that you can identify that you feel differently than what you optimally want to feel. And that's how we know that that's part of our medicine. That's how we know we're making a shift. If you feel like you have found any resources out there that make you feel like you are doing something to contribute to your fertility journey, that is changing your vibration. That is changing your energetic resonance. So that way, those changes will be more lasting, that they will actually start to amplify and heal whatever's out of balance and to create that vital, fertile state that you're trying to achieve. Have you been on your fertility journey for what feels like an infinity amount of time, that it's just years upon years or months upon months, and you're just not getting the results that you have been deeply desiring? Are you feeling overwhelmed, broken, disheartened, and really at a place where there is no hope anymore? If so, I invite you to come join me in my 13-week coaching fertility program. The Fertile program is a program designed to help you restore and awaken your fertile body so that you feel like you have ample resources, that you know how to heal your body, how to feel empowered by the wisdom of your womb, and to really come to a place where you know that you have all the tools that you're going to need to come over every hurdle so that you can finally hold that baby in your arms. So if this is a hell yes for you, I invite you to go and click on the link in the show notes below. Doors are closing tomorrow, Thursday, September 7th at midnight. Another important element when we're looking at noticing what feels good for us and what is our medicine is that, and I think this is what's really one of the most empowering things about starting to explore different practitioners or different therapies or different resources than maybe what is clinical or what is most common or what is most done, is that it brings your body, your mind, and your nervous system into a place of knowing that it has choice. And this is really important because a lot of what all this alternative medicine is doing is it's bringing your body into a place where it knows that there is now a new pathway, that it doesn't have to keep beating down the same path that it's been going, that you don't have to be just running on adrenaline and burnout, that there's this actually different way of existing or feeling in the body. And that, even though it's such a subtle thing in your body, it allows your nervous system in that moment to go, hey, wait a minute, I have a choice. I can feel differently. We can't actually feel different until we've experienced something different. And so allowing ourselves to explore these things and to start to feel like we are at choice, that is a really key component into healing and recovering and amplifying our fertile state. Because no longer are we going, I can't get pregnant, there is no hope, you need to fix me to an outside source. Instead, what we're doing is we're going, wait a minute, I still feel sad. I still feel disappointed. I still struggle with trusting. But I know that I have all these other resources, and I have others that I haven't tried yet that I could still try. But I know that I am starting to feel more empowered in my body. I know that I have these people on my team that are actually listening to me and are seeing me. Two of our human needs in order for us to survive is to be seen and to be heard. And so often with alternative therapies is that they do spend that time to hear your story, to spend the time of asking those big questions of what has shifted, what feels right, what hasn't changed, what can we start to play with. They get you involved in the conversation and you become part of the healing process. And this puts our body in a state of choice. And this calms the nervous system. And this de-stresses the body. And this makes us feel more regulated. And it makes us feel like there's hope. And it starts to infuse joy into our day or give us space so that we can be playful. And so just know that part of reclaiming our fertility is that we really need to get curious about our own body. How are we feeling? What are our triggers? Start to notice your cycle. And if you haven't already, I have a beautiful charting journal, that is free. I'll put the links in the show notes below. Go grab that and use that as your practice of just noting simple things. It doesn't have to be a long practice. Just noticing, what day of my cycle am I on? What am I feeling in my body? And then the second thing is that once you start to create and accumulate your own data, go seek those resources that really feel that they can support that data and they can support you and your goals. You really want to find people that don't knock you down, that don't say, well, you're in for a long journey. You want to find the people that are like, okay, we got this. We can do this. We have a starting point and we're going to get to an end point. Those are the people that you want because they're going to help you amplify your belief in that you can get pregnant. And then the third is just to really start to recognize of knowing if it feels good, then it is doing something, even if I haven't been able to identify what it's doing. If we feel better about our state, if we feel like we have choice, then our body is already doing healing deep within that you cannot see, but is having huge ripple effects in the fertility state and in your womb space and bringing you into that place where pregnancy is going to be plausible. So I hope this has helped you feel like you're able to reclaim your fertile self, that you're able to make that first step into awakening your inner knowing and your inner wellness. Are you excited about aligning to your cycle? If so, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast and like the episode if it really resonated with you. Until next time, remember, womb wisdom equals connection to self, which ultimately equals inspired living.